Welcome to 705 Sports. You know what? Dan and I had so much fun a couple weeks ago. I'm like, Dan, hey Dan, hey Dan, you need to come on the show again.
Sure.
So
and I drop everything for you, Jacob, the same way as everything else around here, right? So,
and I appreciate that, Dan.
as long as the fire page doesn't go off, I'm here for all 22 minutes.
So let's jump right in to March Madness.
And have fun with this.
You know what? I'm going to extend on Madness. Kevin, let's come to me. What I'm very, did I say very, angry about, the men's and the women's March Madness. The way the training facilities are extremely different. Their lunches are extremely different. And you know what? This just tips the cake. Even the bloody swag is different. Like, what are you doing? We are trying to aim for equality. The NBA takes a decent step in it this week by having an all-female broadcast. But then March Madness, the way they're doing this and their excuse is, oh, well, we don't make as much money off the women's. This has nothing to do with the money. Like, Dan, are you as mad as I am?
I'm as mad as you are, and it's more than just March Madness, and it's more than just we're talking basketball. This happens, and if you go into a little bit, and I did dig because it was bothering me, this isn't just NCAA basketball. This is hockey. This is soccer. The Final Four men's for hockey is not as big a tournament for the NCAA, but it is still their prime time. Look at your college football.
Yeah.
The NCAA makes millions of dollars off of these young athletes, male or female. The whole point here is reinvest some of that into making it equal.
Well, exactly. And like what really bothers me about this is you're not even giving the women a fair shot. Like some pictures are going to come up on your screen as we're talking about this. But like if you look at the food, for example, the men get this beautiful buffet. And I'm talking, this looks like a gourmet meal.
5-star restaurant.
5-star. And you know what? Sorry, brother Dan, I'm calling it out here. This looks like your Hungry Man meals that they're having for the women's. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Where is the equality?
And I think that's, and you made another point during your rant that made a lot of sense. That TSN broadcast, I could listen to that forever.
They were great.
Like, what's her name? The hockey player's sister.
Oh, Nurse.
Yeah, Nurse.
Yeah.
As an analyst,
she's fantastic.
She was able to say, and one of the things she was able to say was, okay, so there's going to a zone defense. This is what the Raptors have to do in order to beat that defense. As a viewer, absolutely what I want to hear.
Well, exactly. And it's like, I don't understand why on the outside it looks like the sports world is pushing female. And then you close the door and next thing you know, they're pushing all this aside. If it wasn't, especially with March Madness again here, if it wasn't for social media, would have we even known about it? 'Cause it was all over TikTok, then we saw it on
Twitter,
BuzzFeed,
then we
Twitter.
Saw it then we didn't see it on TSN.
TSN and Sportsnet, they're not touching it, and it's kind of like, what are you doing? It was from one of our coworkers, Josie, who showed it off my way, and like, you can ask anyone here in this office. I was really enraged, and you know what? I think
it's good. It's a good thing this is Friday and not Wednesday or Tuesday when you were showing this. Your rant would have been all 10 minutes instead of getting a little bit of back and forth.
And
here.
Also, too, would not have been PG friendly.
Both of our rants in the newsroom that way were definitely not. I feel bad for our intern. Anyway,
but it's something that. As much as it makes me angry, and I think, Dan, you would agree, it's sad.
I want to give props where they're due, though. The NHL and help and prop up and feature the women's game like they have been this year, and saying they're going to step in and help. For whatever reason, they've chosen to do this and get involved. And some will say it's money, some will say it's PR. They are the most involved professional league that I'm aware of with a female equal.
I would agree with that.
Like the WNBA is separate from the NBA.
It is.
There's all these other leagues are separate or don't exist.
Where the NHL really promote the women's game a lot. And I don't know if you've noticed, there are a lot more female women analysts than male in the NBA versus the NHL.
Right. And And you're starting to see, if you listen to New York Yankees broadcast, you're starting to hear a female voice on the New York Yankees broadcast. That was forever in the making, and the flack they took for bringing that forward, but now she's a staple. And I think the more you hear them, the more they're going to become staples, and it's going to be less of a male-dominated world. You go to a broadcasting school, and you've been there, I've been there. Anybody wants to do sports broadcast, it used to be you wouldn't see a female.
Yeah.
And now you're getting 10, 15, 20% of the class is females that want to do this.
Which is great to see too, and even look at it here. I mean, it's either you and me or myself or Colette, right?
And that's amazing.
And that's awesome to see too.
I cannot
she really
replace
knows her
Colette.
stuff when it comes to sports as well. And it's just like, why aren't we giving them the platform and the space to do it? I look at it, as long as you're good at the job, what's the big deal? And give them the chance.
If you have the qualifications, go ahead. And there's a whole different rant for a whole different time. But the qualifications for a female to do the job seem to be more than what for a male would be to do the job. And that's
unfair.
It's unfair, but it's also the sports world and the male-dominated society.
But, I still hope this is something that changes. I think, myself and Dan and everyone watching, start the conversation. I think this is a time to really, really look at this and be like, okay, is this okay? And what are we going to do about it? And hold people accountable. March Madness did put out a statement after it happened. That statement to me felt like we were caught.
Crap, we were caught, yeah.
Sorry.
Scramble, what do we need?
And that's what it felt like
PR,
to
we
me.
pay you, PR, help us out here. PR is looking at them like, what do you want us to do?
But I think this is something we could talk about the whole show, but unfortunately we got to move on.
We have to move on to the Raptors.
But
it's nice to see Lowry stay. From a Raptors fan since the very beginning, and I'd read this on Twitter a couple of times, I'm happy his last game as a Raptor was not in an empty facility in Florida, where where he would have been walked out the door on not a great night. He didn't have a great night whatsoever. But to say, okay, you're staying with us, and hopefully he stays with us for however long he re-signs again in the fall at a lesser number so we can keep him a little bit better. And because he's going in, let's be honest, back into his career. It was nice to see him leave. It was sad to see Powell go.
It was. I mean, Norman Powell's been a very good player for the Raptors. Realistically, we couldn't afford him. We did get 2 good guards in return. Yeah. And same with getting Thomas and Davis. We did pick up some nice draft picks. I think overall the Raptors did a pretty good job on the deadline.
They're still not making the playoffs.
I don't
want to be the downer Dan or whatever you want to call me and I just don't see how that's gonna happen. They have to rebuild.
It's unfortunate with the Raptors, but I am happy to see Lowry's here to stay. I say he re-signs and the team tries to build around him. But quickly before we go to breaks, we got to go to break in about a minute-ish.
We got to talk about the CFL.
We got to talk about the CFL, and it's something I want to bring to attention. The Canadian Football League has talked to the Canadian Football League Players Association. Now that's a tongue twister. Saying they're asking their players to take a 20% pay decrease. Now, to someone sitting at home who doesn't follow the CFL, they might think, oh, professional athlete, they're like making it rain. The average salary in the CFL is between $80,000 to $100,000. To put this into a larger perspective, let's say you're a rookie going into the CFL to training camp. You make $500 a week.
Yep.
Realistically, taking 20% off of that's going to be tough for a lot of these players.
And you're going to start seeing retirements left, right, and center.
We've already
seen some. But when we come back from the break, I think we're talking hockey.
We will be talking hockey. We'll be talking NHL referees. Talk about the Leafs, their goaltending situation, the fourth line from we'll call it the mummy closet. Because, it's an older fourth line, the grandpa line. But they're doing awesome. But, Dan, time just flies by.
It does.
So, we got to go to break, but don't go anywhere. Stay. We'll be right back, right after this.
Don't click it, Mike. It's a scam.
Oh, hi, Voice of Reason. It looks legit.
Don't click. Listen to your voice of reason before you act.
I deleted it.
Canada.ca/BScamSmart can help.
Loss is something that never leaves you. Donate $45 today to help victims of impaired driving. A message from Mad Canada.
Welcome back again to 705 Sports with you're not Colette.
No, again.
So please ignore the TVs.
Background.
But
We're
you
gonna
know,
start making a new
we
one.
got to
I'm
start
kidding.
making new backgrounds. But you know what? I'm here with Dan.
I'm not
We're
Colette.
having some fun here. We're getting into some rants. We should call this 705 rant today because we're starting with another rant.
Yeah.
Right off the top of the second segment.
You go first.
If anyone who's been watching sports, I'm sure knows about the situation with Tim Peel. Tim Peel said, and I quote, "I had to give Nashville a call," basically saying
Early call.
early call. Thank you, Dan. Basically saying he had to make a call to even out the score of penalties. Now, Tim Peel was fired for this move he made. Mind you, he was going to retire in a month, so I don't really know if firing him made much a deal to him, but I think it's trying to send a message to referees. But then what we saw last night, the referee's talking to one of the players, and he goes to his mic and does this. Covers it up. He doesn't want to get caught, so what is he saying now? And that's going to cause another whole worm of problems.
You have to look at it this way. They got caught. We know in professional whatever, whether it be baseball, basketball, hockey, you name it, every professional level sport, this happens. The even up call happens. The problem here is the context. And I'm just playing devil's advocate. Mm-hmm. He could have been saying, I had to give it to them. Did they show him up a period early? Was there other things in that I had to give them a call early so as not to affect the rest of the period, but to make a point to say, you showed me up or you got away with one the period before? I'm not saying that's what happened, but one clip in a world of journalism where I come from,
right?
One clip without context for the rest of the game can be taken out. Now, I would think, given the NHL's firing and stuff, the intent was what you said it was, which
to send a message.
was I need the even up call to make it whatever. But this covering the mic thing, if you're going to hold them accountable, that this is, and part of the reason we mic the refs, part of the reason we mic some of the players is to hold the game accountable and be more transparent.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you're hiding the transparency. I just no.
And you know, we can even go back to another one. Now, I wasn't alive yet, but my mom has told me about this numerous times. Colette and I have shedded tears about it. I'm sure, Dan, you know where I'm going. The Leafs playoffs in the 92-93, where Wayne Gretzky, high sticks Gilmore, draws blood, no penalty.
Call.
No call. So this has been
That
going
is the
on.
no call.
And you could argue after that, LA gets power play later, they storm back, they win the game, Toronto's out of the playoffs.
Ovechkin gets $500,000 for spearing.
For spearing a guy when
you look at somebody else.
Don't you want to say where? Ugh.
But 500,000. Yet if that was
5,000, not 500,000.
Sorry,
5,000.
5,000. My bad. Penny change, pocket change
for Ovechkin.
For Ovechkin. When if that was Kachuk, 10 games.
Which, don't get me wrong, I can't stand
neither can I, but
that's not the point.
We're just looking at refereeing, etc. We have to go to Spezza.
We do.
He is scoring better than Matthews is right now, and I know Leafs fans, it's painful to watch Matthews miss an open net, and it's painful for him to watch him do the nice move in overtime and not be able to. That wrist has got to be bugging him.
Yeah.
But
now,
Spezza's picking it up.
Mind you, that whole play on the overtime, I got to give Matthews credit before we get into Spezza. The way he was able to read the potential 3-on-1 play, he knows, okay, I'm screwed. My only chance is to block that pass. The way he jumps in, not just blocks the pass, goes around, makes a beautiful move to then get it to not score, but then Marner picks it up to Hall. Like, I was happy to see that.
Every Leafs fan head when they saw Matthews being in the 3-on-1 was doing this.
This is not going to go well. Sitting there, I'm like,
and then he's a better goalie than Anderson.
But let's give Jason Spezza a shout out here. I mean, this was a guy that just 2 years ago, people said he was done. Mike Babcock
he did not make the starting lineup for the first game.
He didn't, and Mike Babcock last year would pretty much refuse to play him.
That's what I meant last year. This year he did. Last year he didn't.
And now under Sheldon Keefe, Spezza only gets about 10 minutes a game and is fifth for the Leafs in scoring 5-on-5.
And I think if we check, that's higher than Tavares.
Oh, much higher.
Sorry,
than Tavares.
I'm being a
Tavares has been a
poke
huge
in the bear,
problem
but yeah.
this season. But big ups to Jason Spezza, what he's been able to do this year. Like, I'm really, really impressed with what he's been able to do.
Now, we're not replacing Matthews with Anderson, but
Jack
what do we do with Anderson?
So Jack Campbell, Michael Hutchinson have both been having, I would say, very strong seasons. As much as, yes, I've seen so many people go, Hutchinson played a bad period. Don't play him. It's like, okay, Anderson played how many bad periods and he never gets pulled. But like I even talked about this last week about the double standards from the coaching staff. But I think for Toronto, you maybe consider dealing Anderson with his contract being up, trade deadlines coming up. And Campbell and Hutchinson are both having great seasons.
What do you get for a goalie that has a .900 save percentage?
.897.
Okay, an .897 save percentage. What do you get for him on a rental contract? Because that's what he is. Mm-hmm. Unless you somehow finagle an extension before you trade him.
What you do is you go Anderson and a prospect to a team that has been struggling in net. Maybe a team like Edmonton, with, don't get me wrong, Mike Smith has been having a very strong season, but he is getting up there, and I wouldn't put Mikko Koskinen in a playoff game. I'd rather have an empty net. So, like, I think a team like Edmonton might be interested.
Who do we get back?
I mean, I would love Darnell Nurse, but no way.
Do we get Nurse back? But that's not happening.
Maybe Adam Larson.
Okay, we can do that.
But I mean,
shoots right, so he fits.
He would fit well. That way you can put him up on the second pairing with Muzzin, then have Hall and Dermott together on the third. I think that means
stay at home aggressive. Stay at home aggressive. So you're balanced.
But not Dermott, Bogosian. I'd say Dermott would be the seventh. I don't know why I'm doing this. He'd be the seventh. But
that's your music history.
Yeah. Woo. We got to
Thunderbirds.
We got to get into the Thunderbirds. So they are currently in the COVID Cup. So we talked about this briefly last week, but the COVID Cup is a tournament between the Sault Thunderbirds and the Blind River Beavers. The reason why they did this tournament was these kids could not have, I call them kids, I'm not even that old, they could not have a regular playoffs.
Right.
So what they had to do was they're like, they still need to get their development, because if this is your last year you can play in the NOJHL, you really want to have a full, some kind of tournament to show you're a clutch player to try to make the next jump into the OHL.
Yeah.
So we currently have that. The way this tournament works, I'll quickly summarize it because I'll be honest, it's a little confusing. Whoever wins the period gets half a point. Whoever wins the game gets 2 points, and then if you lose the game in a shootout, you get 1 point.
I want to congratulate you because you pretty much nailed it.
So, well, thank you.
And a period is half a point, but yeah, when I had to write the story originally, it was like, what is... Yeah, so...
But for this right now, the Thunderbirds are up 11 points to 6.5. So basically for Blind River to have a chance here, they're pretty much going to have to almost wipe the board.
Yeah.
If they even lose a period, it's going to be hard for them.
Yes.
So, because out of this possible, we have roughly three periods, 2 points, so 2 and 4, 7 points available. So if they lose one of those periods, they're done. They're done.
Yep.
But I want to quickly talk about something that I'm very confused about, which is the Ontario Hockey League. So I don't know if you remember when Lisa McLeod announced the funding going into the OHL for their schooling programming, and like, we're going to have a season really soon. If you don't remember, that's because that was over 2 weeks ago.
And there was talk about bubbles. There was talk. There was a lot of.
It was the last time you were on the show.
There was a lot of smoke. There was a lot of smoke. And the analysts I spoke to around the NHL, yeah, we're going to do something. Something's going to happen here. There's going to be hub cities. There's going to be, and we were talking maybe us being a hub city.
Yeah.
Now it's just sort of
disappeared.
Where'd the smoke go? It unveiled Jacob into the show. Anyway, no, but. Where do we go? You're getting far enough into the year now, it's almost tournament style.
I think that's where they're going to go. I think they're going to go with like a pure tournament style. At least these guys can at least get the development that they need, especially if this is your last year in the O. If you think about it, if you're an NHL team and you've seen all the other leagues except the OHL, you're going to be really hesitant to draft a player from the O. And we don't want to see that. But do you know what's crazy, Dan? Apparently we don't shut up. We're already over 9 minutes again.
Well, I guess we got to move it.
We got to go to break again. But stay there. Like I said, don't move. You know what? Go to the bathroom if you need to. But come right back because we have some NHL trade talk, North Division to recap, and the Leafs versus the Oilers, Jets versus Flames preview. So stay right there. We'll be right back.
When I found out I had cancer, it was the hardest day of my life. But life is bigger than cancer.
Welcome back to 705 Sports with myself and Dan. And Dan, I know something just slipped in onto your desk or your phone or whatever we're going to go with. So let's
going through our social media this afternoon. University of Michigan has been forced to pull out of the NCAA hockey tournament. We'll be very careful here. Along with Notre Dame. The Michigan hockey team has been forced to withdraw from the NCAA tournament, getting the news just hours before its scheduled game against Minnesota Duluth, which was supposed to happen this afternoon. I'm devastated for these players. These student athletes have done a wonderful job all year of making sacrifices to get to the point of the year, said head coach Mel Pearson in a statement. It's unfortunate. I don't completely understand the final decision, but I have to respect it. The decision was made by the NCAA Division I Men's Hockey Committee. It's all about protecting the players. When we were getting back to what we said at the beginning of the show about this being about the players, this is a call, and as much as it sucks, it's a call for the players. And they did note that the other team that was taken out of the 16-team tournament was Notre Dame.
You know, it's that really sucks. It's really unfortunate, but I agree with you, Dan. If it was something that had to be done for their safety, you know, health concerns have to be our number one priority, as much as this sucks for them.
Michigan basketball didn't play for 2 full weeks.
Yeah.
Like, this is happening. This is happening in the NHL. It's happening everywhere. So we're looking at our Nhl North Division, my friend.
So the North Division is
our division, the only division that really matters.
It really is. And it's weird. So many people have said, oh, the North Division won't be competitive. It won't be competitive. It won't be competitive. Even the Ottawa Senators, who are the worst team in the division, are still only 9 points out of a playoff spot.
And almost beat the Leafs last night.
They did almost beat the Leafs last night.
Partly because of their outstanding goaltender.
And unfortunately, Campbell with a couple puck jumbles.
That's a miscommunication with the D. We won't even go there.
But in the North right now, we have the Leafs at first with 44 points. And this is as of right now. Jets second with 42. Oilers also with 42. Now, mind you, though, they're in third because they've played more games than
I was going to say,
Jets.
there's like 2 games difference there, isn't there?
Montreal is still holding on to fourth, even though they haven't been able to play due to COVID-19 issues, which is the first team in the North that's had those issues. And then we have
before the COVID-19, though, they were crash diving for the bottom anyway, so...
In all honesty, this
is the Leafs fan, so I can take a shot at them.
You know what? I'm going to say this for Montreal fans. Let's hope this week is the week that they needed to get their groove back. Because they've been struggling, right? As you and I both said it. The new coach even, I don't think, has fully been able to get his systems in, which just sucks. He's had this time off and can't practice. But they can still have Zoom meetings and work together with the team to try to make stuff happen. But then we have the Vancouver Canucks, who are sitting 5th with 35. Flames, 6th with 33. They're on a 3-game losing streak right now. And then we have the Ottawa Senators at 7th with 28.
So much for those coaching changes and everything else. Again, we're looking at Ottawa, and it's got a coaching change. We're looking at the Flames coaching change. You get the coaching change bounce. Ottawa got it. Montreal got it. Mm-hmm. Calgary's got it. But then you see, oh, we're back to the same the team. And this is nothing. This is not a shot at. Oh, this is a shot at the Habs because I'm just not a Habs fan. But you can your coach because you're losing 4 games. You get a new coach, you win a few games, and then you start nosediving for the bottom again. Maybe it wasn't the coach. And I think you're looking at Calgary too, and not. I have friends that are Flames fans. I have friends that are fans all over. Mm-hmm. But again, you aren't performing. You get a new coach. Oh, new coach.
You start to play.
You play better because you're trying to make an impression, and then the old problems show up. And the Leafs have that situation at the moment too, where you had this outstanding team, and then you saw some of the typical Leafs. And you can't play at that level forever.
No.
Any team. But that bounce, that mid-season lull, there's things that happen there too, right?
Now, mind you, for a team like Toronto, I'd rather them have their slump now than in the first round of the playoffs like they have the past couple years. So hopefully we get this out of the way. For a team, for Montreal especially, they spent a lot of money on free agency, and for them to not be putting up the wins is something that I think Bergevin is going to be disappointed in. And I'll be honest, you fire the coach, who's next? You can't exactly fire the team. I think the next might be the general manager.
You can make the changes on the team, though.
But I think they need a new general manager to do that. Bergevin loves his team. And I think even you could argue the same thing with Vancouver. They're only winning when Demko's playing.
I was going to say Demko. Back to 2 weeks ago. Demko.
When he was playing fantastic. But then they overplayed Demko extremely. And next thing you know, Holtby doesn't get any starts. Now Demko's slowing down, but now Holtby's rusty because they haven't been playing him. So it's just one of those things, right?
It's and Calgary, and I think Vancouver will tell you, we're going as far as Demko will take us.
Yeah.
The Leafs could not the Leafs, but the Leafs are going to go as far as that top line will take them. The people, every team has that. We'll go as far as this takes us.
Yeah.
At least the Leafs aren't this year looking at we'll go as far as Anderson takes us, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. And then for the only team that's in the bottom that I think needs to be pretty happy with where they're at, and this hurts me to say it, are the Senators. I think the Senators have actually overachieved considering they're on their 4th and 5th string goaltenders. And they were expected to be terrible. Not as bad as Buffalo, mind you. But Buffalo, that's a whole other thing. Quickly, I'm going to touch on that. Buffalo lost their 16th straight game.
2 more.
They lose 2 more, then that means they have tied the record for most losses since the 2000 era, which would be the Pittsburgh Penguins in Crosby's rookie year.
So,
not good.
But it's just that unfortunately the Sens need this. They need to lose. They need to, and I'm not as a Leafs fan, but to build and political words, build back better.
Yes.
To build back better, they need to be bad.
Now, mind you, Ottawa with Tim Stützle and Norris
are starting to.
Shabbat's really getting better defensively. I think the Senators have the building blocks to be a very, very good team.
They're the Leafs 3 years ago.
They really are. It reminds me of that. I mean, Stützle has realistically, in my opinion, been the best rookie in the NHL because I don't really know if I count that Korpasov in Minnesota as a rookie. What? Because he played in the KHL for 6 years.
Watching him play last night reminded me of Marner. Watching a copy of Marner play.
But we got to quickly jump into the games on Saturday night.
Well, can we just stop the top? Can we just stop the top line of Edmonton as a Leafs fan? If we can do what we did in Edmonton,
we're in good shape.
You win. You stop the top line and stay out of your own end.
Now, mind you, I think Jack Campbell looked really sharp the last game against the Oilers. I'm expecting Campbell to have a really strong game. I think for Toronto, the key is to stop Edmonton's not even top 6, top 3.
Top line.
And I would say for Toronto, the key is Edmonton's going to be focused so much on the Matthews line. Let's get the Hyman line and the Spezza line flying like they were, and let's just hope Tavares doesn't take random interference penalties like he did last night. But the other game we have on the docket are the Jets versus the Flames. Both of these teams really need to win, because the Jets are, if they can win, they can potentially jump over the Leafs if they win tonight. And the Flames, they need to start playing catch up, or else they may as well just blow the team up.
I think they said, the analysts listened to their game the other day, they need 19 wins to be realistic right now to get into the playoffs.
Daryl Sutter said 16-8. I've heard TSN say 19 wins is about 19-3 in their home stretch. I think for the home stretch for Calgary, they need to just pretty much just not lose. Because the way the Canucks are playing and the way the Habs are playing, and I'm even going to say it, the way the Sens are playing, they've got points in 6 straight games. All of a sudden now, the Sens and the Flames aren't that far apart. But Dan, we already got to go.
Do we?
We do.
I told you last time we got to make this an hour.
But a quick reminder to everyone, next week we will not be having a 705 Sports due to it being Easter weekend. So I want everyone to take care. Please stay safe. Stay home when you can. But thank you for joining us.
And he'll see you April 9th.
For April 9th, when we'll have our trade deadline episode. Thanks again, guys. See you next time.